In the year 2011, my life was a complete mess. I graduated college with an English literature degree that was basically useless and almost $100,000 in student loan debt. My first job out of college was a sterile commission-only desk job that took up all my available time during the week. I'd arrive there before dawn, I would toil away in my cubicle for close to 10 hours, before then driving home in the dark and scraping together dinner with whatever pennies I had left in my bank account. This didn't even pay me enough to make ends meet, and I needed to work on the weekends taking donations at a donation center just to be able to pay my rent. My rent was $400 per month. I was burnt out, sad, working 7 days a week, and I had no end for it in sight. My entire life was spent working day in and day out with no breaks, and I honestly thought that this was what life was gonna be for the next 50 years until one day I just fell over and died. Then one day I came into the office of that cube farm and I visited the cubicle of my now business partner, Derek. On his desk, he had a dated looking book with a really funny looking cover that immediately stood out to me. I read the title and it was a mouthful and difficult to say out loud: Psycho-Cybernetics. I laughed at it at first, wondering what weird literature he was digging into, and he explained to me that it was a book about positive mindset. I remember him telling me a little bit more about it, and I remember being baffled that I was actually curious in what he was talking about. To me, self-development or self-help books were that weird section of the bookstore that you just walked right on past on your way to read something interesting. You need to keep in mind that in 2011, influencers weren't what they are today, and people talking on Instagram and social media like TikTok just wasn't happening. But don't ask me why, but for whatever reason, his energy just felt different that day, and I wanted some of what he was having. So I stopped at Barnes & Noble on the way home, and after that day, my life would change forever. Over the past decade since picking up that book for the first time, my life has been an absolute rocket ship of growth. Honestly, my life has exceeded anything of what I ever anticipated my life could possibly become. I've been able to check every box that I had on my vision board that I created back in the day. I've got a beautiful home. I get to do things like talk on YouTube to all of you. I'm engaged to my dream girl. I don't have to worry about money, and I have enough money to not only buy everything that I need, but I also have enough money to buy most of everything that I want. I went from struggling to make ends meet, literally living paycheck to paycheck, wondering if I was gonna need to sell my car, to landing my dream job and 5xing my income basically only a couple months later. I rapidly rised through the ranks of a highly sought after startup in a super competitive, cutting edge industry, helped scale it from $14 million to $40 million in revenue in about 3 years, and saw it acquired before then going on to start my 7-figure social media marketing agency with my now business partner, Derek. Yes, the same Derek that had Psycho-Cybernetics on his desk in his cubicle years earlier. What Maxwell Maltz gave me in Psycho-Cybernetics was an understanding of what it was actually going to take to get what I wanted out of life, and that it was all within me and the perception that I had of myself. Once I understood that, I became obsessed with personal development. I couldn't read enough of these books, and to date I've read hundreds of them. I'm reading several right now, and I owe my success to every single building block that I've picked up along the way. And I hope that I can do right by them by helping anybody watch this video better understand how to make use of these amazing guides that are available at your local bookstore. I could go on endlessly about this, but here are the 5 biggest rules that I've learned over the last decade plus of my own personal development journey, going from someone that could barely make ends meet, couldn't wake up before 11 a.m. in college, to actually discovering how much I'm really capable of. Rule number 1 is take action. If you want to get value out of self-improvement or self-help books, you need to take action on them. You need to be willing to put in the work. Self-improvement books have an amazing ability to change our perception of our life and what we believe is possible. It's also a lot easier to just read the book and feel good about reading the book and just put it back on the shelf and never do anything with it. The best part of self-improvement books to me is how actionable they are. That's why I love them. I've seen the best results in my life when I read a book and I instantly implement whatever it is that I'm learning. I like to work through them one book at a time, almost as if I'm working through an online course, and try to implement anything that I'm learning chapter after chapter. I take notes, I take action, I see results. And then those results reinforce the behavior that I'm doing, and those become habits, and I adopt that new identity that I learned from that book. One thing that I really like to do, as I mentioned, is I like to keep a journal, and I like to attach certain behaviors that might help me achieve the result that I'm hoping to get out of the book in a habit tracker of some kind. There's great apps for this, or Notion is a great way to do this as well. This way I can set goals and I can set intentions for each day that are going to help me get the value that I want to get out of that book. This means that I'm almost automating my way to achieving the results that I was hoping to achieve by picking up that book. Rule number 2 is continuously learn. Self-improvement is a journey, not a destination. I used to think, and honestly, the first time that I read Psycho-Cybernetics, I thought that if I started my self-improvement journey and I just incrementally increased a little bit over time, someday I was just going to arrive at the person that I always wanted to become. I'd have it all and my work would be done. Self-improvement is actually about continuing to unlock new, better versions of yourself. You unlock new perceptions of what you once thought possible, and the goalpost tends to move further and further as you continue to improve and achieve more with your life. That's the beauty of self-improvement. We're changing our perception of what we believe we're capable of. Self-improvement books are a lot like a map. They help you save time on your journey, so long as you're willing to take action on them. I'm constantly on the lookout for the next book, course, audiobook, whatever it is that can help me unlock that next problem that I'm trying to solve or the thing that I'm trying to improve in my life at any given time. Rule number 3 that I've learned is consistency is everything. Earl Nightingale says that persistence is the key to success. And every single self-help book that you will ever read hammers this point home. It doesn't matter what you're trying to learn, consistency is what is going to unlock that learning and help you achieve whatever goal you have in your life. Financial books talk about the power of compound investing and trying to get into the markets as early as you can and as fast as you can. Atomic Habits talks about the importance of small actions and how they compound and add up over time. The more you do them, the more they become your habit, and the more that habit helps reinforce your new identity. The only reason that my business partner Derek and I have been successful in our business is because over the last 7 years, we've continued to show up and do the thing day in and day out. And that thing has definitely changed. When we first were getting started, it was watching the course that we bought that taught us how to start the business. And then it was doing the things to get us the clients. And then it was learning how to deal with the clients and get them results. And it was just consistently chunking away at trying to be entrepreneurs for the last 7 years. And it's worked out well for us because we've been amazingly consistent at it. Each day, those little things that we were doing weren't always things that we wanted to do, but we did them. And now when we look back on 7 years of little things, day after day, compounding, we have a 7-figure agency on our hands. It's really amazing to see that. Real quick plug, if you didn't know, by the way, I do teach a course on how to start, grow, and scale your own social media marketing agency and replicate some of the results that Derek and I have been able to achieve. If that sounds interesting to you, check out the link for the SMMA blueprint in the description down below. Rule number 4 is your attitude determines your reality. Zig Ziglar once said, your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your attitude. That quote is also incredibly difficult to say. Your mindset and your outlook is a massive key factor in your personal growth. Things in life can either happen for you or they can happen against you. Looking back, some of the things that I viewed at the time as the worst things, the most crushing, soul-crushing things that happened to me in my life turned out to actually be some of the most positive things that happened to me in my life. There's a great quote that I'm not sure who it's by, but it basically says that when you're being challenged, that's great because that is your opportunity to grow. When you're being challenged, that means that you're growing. And even though it's hard at that time, there's gonna be something good on the other side of it. It's tough because these are usually things that you don't see at the time, but these are how we learn. So the next time that something bad happens to you, or the next time that you just don't feel like doing something, think to yourself, I'm being challenged. There's an opportunity here. What am I going to do with it? I'm gonna make something of it, and then go continue taking action. Rule number 5 is that there is much to learn from failure as there is from success. Winston Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. This ties directly in with rule number 4, as you can imagine, but when you fail or when you fall short of your goal, there's something massive to learn there. If things don't work out the way that you had hoped that they would, this is the single greatest learning opportunity that we are given. Failure is a gift, and it's when we overcome those failures and those setbacks that we have the biggest opportunities to grow. If you're new to the channel, you might not know this, but prior to starting my business with my business partner Derek, I tried to start 3 different businesses prior to starting our agency. None of them made any money. In fact, several of them lost me several $1,000s, which at the time was an enormous amount of money to me, and I felt immensely discouraged. But what I didn't realize was those failed businesses were actually teaching me building blocks that I needed to start our agency and see the results that we did as quickly as we did. I tried to start a blog. I tried to start a vitamin subscription company. And there were other side hustly things that I tried to do all the time. And these things taught me how to build websites, how to do SEO, the importance of social media, how to run ads. And all of a sudden, all these skills that I learned from these businesses that lost me money or just didn't work out became the building blocks and the perfect combination of ingredients to build the business that I built with Derek with no prior knowledge. So even though at the time these felt like massive failures, I was super defeated. I almost swore off entrepreneurship altogether, and I didn't think that it was for me. My failures became my biggest lessons, which became the fuel and the ingredients that I needed to start a 7-figure agency. As you can imagine, I'm quite passionate about this topic. A lot of my channel is about books that I love to read, personal growth, personal development. So if you're into these topics, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I'm curious, what are some of the favorite books that you've read on personal development that have had a positive impact on your life? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments down below. While we're on the topic, I've got a video here for you that I think would be great for you to watch next. It's on 5 books that will completely change your life if you read them. Make sure to check that video out after this one. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you as a part of the community. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.